is Sports Drive.
Welcome back into Sports Drive. Once again, I'm your host, Preston Moore, joined alongside Zach Woodard, and Mike Roden. I looked at both of you, and I mixed it up. But Zach Woodard and Mike Roden, our Pick Ems panel for today. And we've got one more game to pick, guys. We went through two of the toughest ones, Panhandle and Stratford, and Canadian and Bushland. And now we're going up to the 4A ranks. Well, 3A versus 4A in this one. We're talking Dalhart and Perryton. Two very good teams, two teams looking for a win. This game in Perryton, it's the Rangers' home opener. And I'm going to go ahead and make the call that Lance is not going to make it onto this Zoom call. We were hoping he would, but he didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and list off his picks. Starting with this one, he went with Dalhart with the Golden Wolves for this one, the road team, playing in their first road game as well. And he went with Panhandle in our first game over Stratford, and then he went with Canadian over Bushland. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that full slate looks like in just a moment. But that being said, we got Dalhart and Perryton. Dalhart came out with a big win in week one, 55-15 over Leveland. And then Perryton, I don't think necessarily had the week one that they were expecting. It was a game that last year they won against Canyon, and this year they fall 29-6, only able to put 6 points on the board. Not really what the Rangers were expecting going into 2025. So despite the fact that it's their home opener, I think it'll have a lot more energy. I do think they'll score plenty more than 6 points. I'm probably going to have to go with the Dalhart Golden Wolves based on what we saw in week one with just the sheer amount of dominance that they had against Leveland. Another strong team, a team that went into, I believe, double overtime against the Rangers just last year, if I'm not mistaken. This year, I think Dalhart is going to take it over Perryton on the road, improve to 2-0. Mike, we'll go to you next. Dalhart, Perryton, who do you got?
Well, it's going to be an interesting game, I think. And as you said, I know Perryton wants to kind of bounce back from a disappointing season opener. They had hoped to be able to continue this success against Canyon that they had the year before. It didn't happen. And, I know we've talked already last week about Cooper Schilling and how great a quarterback he is. And I know that they'll be really anxious to bounce back and get a win, but they've got a tough opponent. Dalhart, as you said, looked awfully good in their game against Leveland. They scored on the ground, they scored through the air, and just had a good all-around game. It looked like from the highlights that I watched. So. It's going to be a tough opponent for Perryton. Being at home, I thought about going with the Rangers, but just based on what Dalhart did last week, I'm going to have to go with the Wolves, I think, in this one as well, to be able to knock off Perryton. I don't think it'll be easy, though, on Perryton's home field, but I'll go with Dalhart.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think it'll be, for Perryton at least, a closer game than they saw last week, and probably for Dalhart too with the 40-point win. But I think it'll be a closer game than both of these teams have experienced this season so far. Zach, who do you have? Dalhart and Perryton, the Rangers' home opener.
Yeah, I think Mike had a lot of good points in the same reasonings. I went Canadian last time because they were the home team with Bushland coming in, and I think Dalhart as well. Kyler Reed goes and kind of the heart and soul of that team, but when he went down, everybody stepped up to take over that, and a lot of guys that are coming back now got some experience that they may not have had if he'd never gone through that injury last season, and that showed week one against Leveland. And I credit the score from Canyon and Perryton. I credit that all to Canyon's defense coming out there ready to go. And Coach Winfrey had talked about not wanting to make this game emotional, even though everybody on that team wanted to go back out there and prove that they should be the victors between the two teams because of how close it was the year before. And they went out there and did that. I don't know if Perryton was ready for the fire that they had, and that's just kind of what happens. They say it's hard to beat a team, and it's hard to beat a team twice. In back-to-back years, it was going to be very, very hard for the Rangers to come away with the win over a fired-up Eagles who are more motivated than ever. They want to go out there and win it. And in this one as well, I think that week one from Dalhart, I know Perryton wants to, erase that from last year. It was a big win for Dalhart the year before. And they just they held Cooper Schilling in check. And it was kind of the first time that I think we've seen, since he took over the role, that he is human. There is a way to kind of go out there and maybe try and contain him, because we've seen before. I think last year I compared this kid to Johnny Manziel, the way that he was running around and making plays out of nothing. And Canyon found a way to do it. I think Dalhart will watch that tape. I think, coaches might be able to see that and see a game plan that could be there. And I know Coach Hernandez and the Rangers are going to be scheming of a way to get through Dalhart's defense. It's just going to be tough. Again, this is another tough game to kind of figure out what your team's going to be early on. You don't really have the luxury of that when you get matched up against powerhouse opponents like Dalhart. So I, too, am going to lean in the favor of the Golden Wolves.
All right. So with that being said, we do have a sweep, it looks like, for the Dalhart Golden Wolves, because Maya and Alyssa.
Okay, never mind. I changed my pick. I changed it. No, I can't agree with my. No, I'm
You're
just
going
kidding.
back?
No. I gotta stay. I sweep the sweep last week for West Plattsburgh, so we're okay for now.
All right, another sweep. This one for Dalhart. Maya and Alyssa, the only one. This is the only game that they picked the same on. But that being said, a road sweep, no less, for Dalhart, hoping to get the win. All 6 of us going with the Golden Wolves to dethrone Perryton in their home opener on their home turf. They won the game last year, so it'll be interesting to see how things shape out this year. Guys, we really appreciate you coming on to the show, talking Pick Ems. I got a bad start last week. I'm the only one with a losing record after week 1. But I am determined to turn that around. I think I'm going 3-0 this week. Personally, I got to talk my trash a little bit because I didn't get the chance to last week. But I think I'm going to turn it around. We'll see how it all goes. But that being said, guys, appreciate you coming on the show. We're excited to see how all these games go.
I'm going 3-0. I'm predicting it right now. Bold predictions.
Mike, what do you think?
I don't know what I'm going, so we'll see.
Everybody's feeling confident. We'll be right back with more Sports Drive. Wrap things up here in just a bit.